Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the session. In today's session, I'll be covering about VPC, AWS VPC, right? Mm. So, before covering VPC, I will also cover the topics like IP addressing and subnetting. So this is important, guys, because if I directly create VPC and showcase subnetting, okay. And we'll also discuss about AWS regions and availability zones. Then we will see VPC. What exactly actual VPC is. Okay. So VPC is nothing but a virtual private cloud. So to understand this VPC, you must understand how AWS is organized its global infrastructure. So let us see AWS global infrastructure, how it is. So let me open Google and just type AWS global infrastructure. Yeah. So if you see here, AWS across the globe, they have 24 regions which they already launched, and 3 regions which are announced that they will be launching. And for these 24 regions, there are 77 availability zones. We will discuss what are regions and what are availability zones. It is spread across 245 countries, and let me zoom little bit. So this is the worldwide AWS global infrastructure diagram. So if you see the orange color, right? So these are coming soon. So the regions which are already there, and they will be available very soon. And the green, blue color ones are the regions which are already available. If you see in Australia, there is a region in Sydney, and in India there is a region in Mumbai, and in US there are multiple regions: US East, West, Oregon, North California, Ohio, Canada Central. Uh, One is for government cloud. For US government, they have created a cloud, and this Ohio region. And in South America also there is a region. So in South Africa also in Cape Town there is a region. So like this, these are the regions across the globe. So every region will have 1 or 2 availability zones. Minimum 2 availability zones should be there for a region. So every region must have at least 2 availability zones. So why? Because let's say, let me open Paint. So let's say you have an organization. Okay. Let's say this is a VPC. And you are having subnet availability zone 1, availability zone 2, and availability zone 3. Okay, so you are creating a server here for your application. So for this server, if you are creating a backup server in the same availability zone, then suppose if this availability zone is crashed for some reason, so then all your application will go down and you will not have access for your customers, right? So what we'll do is, let's say this is VPC, and this is availability zones, and this is your servers. So what usually people will do is, so they create their servers in different availability zones. So suppose if you have created in zone 1, so then they will create in zone 2. So suppose if this got crashed, right? Because there are some natural calamities like floods and other things. So if the availability zone is got crashed, So then in the next availability zone, the servers will respond and you will have continuity with your customers. That's the main idea. Every region must have at least two availability zones. Now let us see for let us take any one region example. For example, in North America. So Ohio region, let's take Ohio. Now, so here we have three availability zones. Suppose if you take North Virginia, you have six availability zones. Like this, total in North America, you have this many regions. So you have almost seven regions in North America. So out of seven regions, and you have for every region you have multiple availability zones. So if you see here, here you have for Oregon, and for North California you have three regions, and for US West you have three regions, US East three, and Canada Central you have three regions. So you no region has less than two regions. Suppose if you take Mumbai, right? If you go for APAC region, Asia Pacific, so Singapore, China, Sydney, Tokyo. So if you see Mumbai, you have three. Before earlier it was only two availability zones. Now there are three availability zones in Mumbai region. So this is how regions and availability zones are there. So you might ask, what is availability zone, right? So let's say data center. Every availability zone will have a data center like this. So you will have servers, network devices, everything will be accommodated in this big like warehouse kind of structure. And this data warehouse will be provided for your cloud. Let's say AWS data center Ohio. So if you see here, there is a building, right? Huge building. So this building is one availability zone. Like this, for Ohio region, there are three availability zones. So the three availability zones will be in a distance of at least 100 kilometers. So for example, for Ohio, there are three availability zones. So if you see what AWS will tell is all these three availability zones will be related within 100 kilometers of area. If you see here, an availability zone is one or more discrete data centers with redundant power networking connectivities in an AWS region. And you can see, if you see here, available zones are physically separated by a meaningful distance, many kilometers from any other availability zones, although they are within 100 kilometers of each other availability zone. So the meaning for this is, for example, in Sydney, you have three availability zones. So where are these three availability zones? If you see for the Sydney, it will be one is in Perth, one is in Adelaide, and one is in Sydney. So the distance, they make sure that all these availability zones are very near, because the network connectivity, if you take one availability zone for Australia and one available zone in Tasmania, the distance will be more, right? So they make sure the distance is near and there is no network latency and other issues. So that's how now regions and availability zones are there in the AWS uh, cloud. Okay. So now let us take here an example. Let's consider this as Ohio region. Okay. And let us say this as say for example, let me log into my AWS console, and so once I log into this console, so you can see here, now I am in Ohio region. Like this, you can see all the regions wherever AWS is available. Say for example, Ohio, this is the region, Ohio. it is US hyphen east hyphen 2. So the region is US hyphen east hyphen 2. Now for Ohio, how many regions are there as per our data center? It was 3, right? Availability zones were 3. Now here I can say as 2A, then I can say this as a 2B and as 2C. 2C. This is availability zone agent. Okay. So this is a region. Under every region, say for example, based on your selection, let's say if you select US East hyphen 1, which is North Virginia, you will have 6 availability zones like this. Now here in Ohio, we have 3 availability zones, right? So now you can spin up servers in each availability zone here, like here one, you can spin up here, you can spin up here, you can spin up. Now all these availability zones should be connected, right? Networked each other. So in order to connect these availability zones, there are some challenges here. When they make the data centers in 3 different regions and make 3 availability zones, and they consider it as one region, there are 3 challenges for all the any cloud providers, right? One is one is like, say for example, you have 3 problems. So one is you have security problem. So before discussing this problem, so let's say I have an use case like this. I'm creating a Linux server here in availability zone 2A, okay, and I'm creating a Windows server here, and I'm creating my database server here. So let's say this is my app server Linux machine, and this is my DB server. It might be an RDS, and this is my in availability zone C. I'm going to create my Windows server for FSX file systems. Okay, so like this, I have created three devices for my application. This for single application. Let's say I am creating giving an application like HDFC Bank. Okay, just an example, hdfcbank.com. So my for this URL, for this HDFC Bank URL, I have my app server in availability zone 1. In zone 2, I have my DB server. In zone 3, I have my Windows server. Since any cloud, not only AWS, any cloud will not provide you physical access for these servers, right? So what they do is all these zones, availability zones, will be interconnected for the cloud. Okay, all the availability zones will be interconnected to each other. So you can create server, any server, and you'll be able to access all these devices, because all the data centers will be interconnected. Now, what will be the major problems when you interconnect these data centers with all together? The first one would be security, right? So security is one major concern. Second one is IP address usage. So we will discuss about IP address in detail. Why IP address usage is a here disadvantage of interconnecting all these things, or it is a challenge here. And third one is it is difficult to manage. Difficult to manage. Here, not only you say data center will be not for one customer, right? In one data center, there are lakhs of customers, right? So here, like you, hundreds of customers will come and they will create their servers, and they will be using their servers for their applications here. So in this case, so security is a major concern. So suppose if HDFC is there, the ICICI guy might try to steal the customer data. So like this, there are a lot of challenges will be there when these data centers are given directly without any breakage, like VPC breakage or subnet breakage. So so in order to resolve these type of issues, that's why we are creating a VPC. So by implementing VPC, you will solve these security issues, IP overlapping issues, and also you can provide some IP address ranges to each customers. So let me showcase you that one. Yeah. Let's say you are the HDFC Bank customer, right? So what AWS will do is AWS will allow you to create a VPC. Let's say this is let's name this as a VPC, Virtual Private Cloud, for HDFC Bank. So the AWS guys are telling Mr. HDFC Bank customer, you can create a VPC in our data center. This VPC can be in zone 1 or zone B or zone 3. It might be zone 1, 2, 3 or ABC. Okay. This VPC can be across multiple zones. Okay. This VPC can be there under across multiple zones. Now, once you create this VPC across multiple zones, so what is the other thing? Now the other first thing we avoided is security issues. So now the ICICI Bank customer guy will not come and enter because this is a virtual private cloud only for HDFC. So now here the ICICI guy will not have any chance to go and enter into HDFC Bank. So now security issue got resolved, right? The second issue is IP address overlapping. Now when you create a private cloud, right? When you create a private cloud, the IP address range will be designed exactly only for this cloud. Say you have a private address between some this range around 65,000 IP addresses you have here. So these 65,000 IP addresses will not be overlapped with another customer. Let's say the another customer is ICICI VPC. So the another customer is ICICI guy. So he will have his own IP range, and HDFC will have his own IP range. So these IP ranges are private IP ranges. So they will not get overlapped with the other IP for other customers. So we will see what is private IP address and what is public IP address when in some time when we are discussing about IP addressing and subnetting. Okay. So now two issues we resolved. One is the security issue because you are in your virtual private cloud network where you will be able to access only your servers. Only HDFC network team will be having access to this virtual private cloud. So security issue is reduced here. The second issue is the IP address usage. Now, since you have your own network, this one, so you will have your own set of IP address. So there will be no problem. And third one is because the data center is distributed for customers in a virtual private cloud, it will be easy for them to manage. So these three limitations we are being overcome using this implementation of VPC. So what is the main things you need to keep in mind here is AWS has multiple regions across the globe. For this example, considered as Ohio region, and every region will have multiple availability zones. Let's say zone A, zone B, and zone C. Like this, every region will have multiple availability zones. So let's say if you go to my console, so here I have selected as Ohio as region, and let's say if I go to EC2, so if you see here, region equal to US hyphen East hyphen 2. So this is the my region name. So then availability zones, when we are creating subnets, I will show you how the availability zones will be there for us. Any doubts till here, guys? Let me take a pause.
No, Harish, it's very clear from my end. Chandan here.
Yeah. So if no queries, so what I'll do is, so this is your dashboard, guys, for your console login. So you can see a lot of AWS features here. So we are discussing under network and content delivery. So under networking, we are discussing about VPC. So next 3 days, we will see what is VPC, because you must understand as an organization, let's say you are HDFC Bank guy. So you need to create your own virtual private cloud. So you are selecting, we will select Ohio as a region, and across 3 availability zones, we will be creating a virtual private cloud. Now, once you create virtual private cloud, then you need to do, you need to communicate with our other external guys, right? So let me showcase. Yeah. So let's say this is external internet. So fine, when you create virtual cloud, your app server can communicate with DB server, your DB server can communicate with your Windows server. So all this communication will be having in your virtual, in your private network. So when you want to come to public network and interact with the internet, so then you need to have here a gateway, right? So internet gateway you need to have. So that is, a device will be there. So that device is internet gateway. Let me name it as IGW. Okay. So what this internet gateway will do is, whatever the traffic is coming from internet, it will route through internet gateway, and it will tell to which virtual private network it should go, either for Windows server, or it's a DB server, or it's an app server. So there are some route tables to tell what are the route tables, and different concepts we learn here in VPC, like network address translation gateway, NAT gateway will be there, and security groups are there. So let us see one by one here. So before that, uh, before creating VPC, we must understand what is IP addresses and subnetting. Why? Because, so let's say there is a VPC, and say by default there will be a VPC which will be available. So ignore that. When you create your AWS account, you can, by default a VPC will be there, because that will allow you to, if no VPC is there, you cannot create a EC2 instance. So for the newcomers, if they create EC2 instance, by default default VPC will be taken. So if you want to create a specific VPC, just come here, click a VPC, and you can give any name. Let's say HDFC Bank -VPC. But what is this IPv4 CIDR block, right? So let's say I'm giving us 10.1.0.0.0/16. So you can understand this is IPv4 address, but what is this 16, right? So to understand this one, the 16 is nothing but network mask. So let us go to IP address concepts to understand this one. Okay. So IPv address has two types. One is IPv4 and one is IPv6. So this you can see, open your command prompt in your system and just type as ifconfig. Sorry, it's a Windows, right? ipconfig. So if you see here, you can see IPv4 address. Just copy this one. And you can see IPv6 address as well. Subnet mask default gateway. Okay, I have connected through internal private network here. That's the reason it's not showing. Yeah, here local link IPv4. Yeah. So let me copy this IPv6 address here. So if you see here, IPv4 is simple. It is 32-bit address. But IPv6 is a bit complex. which is 128-bit address. Okay. You might think which type of IP address has come initial into the market, right? So it was IPv4 address. So actually, US it was initially started by US military guys for their internal purpose for communication. During those days, they didn't assume the network would be internet network would be this vast. It would grow this vast. That's why it was in 32-bit. So later what happened, there were huge number of devices which were coming when Windows operating system was introduced into the market, right? So everyone started using internet. So for example, if you want to connect single computer to internet, definitely you need IPv4 address. If you want to connect mobile, you need IPv4 address. If you want to connect any device, let's say like in a when you're going to airport, you will have a kiosk to automatically give you the boarding pass. So the it needs internet, right, to get the data. When you give your PNR number, it will give you the kiosk, the PNR details, and give you the boarding pass. So it need internet connection. That's why it need an IPv4 address. So any device which is connected to internet must and should require an IP address. So so this IP address IPv4 is classified into five classes. One that is class. Okay, let me take it from here. So you can just type here IPv4 classes. So yeah, you can. I'll copy it from. Okay, let me take it. Yeah. 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 If you see here, class A. So class A has a range from 1.0.0.0.1 to 126.255.255.254. Okay, so IPv4 address is 32-bit, right? You can ask how many IP address overall I will have with this IPv4 address. So you will have around 4 billion plus IP addresses. So how because like 2 to the power 32. So it is around this one. So this many unique IP addresses you can have in your IPv4. Okay, clear, guys? Any questions still here? Okay, let me take it as no.
Here it's clear, Harish. Thank you.
Yeah. So when you say 4 billion IP addresses, right? Let's say in for my home, what was IP address here? 10.0.0.15. So this is my IP address at my home. Now, so how this is divided, right? 32-bit, right? So this 10 is 8-bit, and this second one is 8-bit, and third 0 is 8-bit, and fourth is 8-bit. So total 8-bit plus 8-bit plus 8-bit plus 8-bit. It is 32-bit address. So we'll discuss about this in detail after some time. So before that, there are four, as I told, there are 5 classes of IP address, right? Class A, B, C, D, E. We will be using only class A, class B, class C, that's all. And class D and class E are just used for R&D purpose and military official or confidential purpose. So let us not worry about this one because it is out for our out of our scope. Now class A, class B, class C. So class A IP address range will start from 1.0.0.1 to 126 to this range, and class B will start from this range, class C will start from this range. Now for these three groups, how many IP addresses will come? So here around 16 millions will come, 65,000 will come, and 254. So total around 16,065,254 hosts will come for this three classes when you are excluding these two. Say now here is a problem, correct? What is the problem here? Let's say I'm teaching this course in my laptop. Let's say this laptop. I have this laptop and I have one more personal laptop for DevOps purpose. I have MacBook Pro and I have my organization laptop and I have two mobiles with me in my home. So total 3 laptops I have and 2 mobile devices I have with me. So total I have five devices with me alone. So my roommates, there are 2 roommates with me. So they have around 5 devices each. So total 10. So in my flat itself, there are around 15 devices which are connected to internet and which are using. Like this, imagine how many devices are connected, in how many countries across the regions. So how much time it will take to occupy all these IP addresses? Because every mobile which is connected to internet is required to have IP address. Every laptop should have IP address. So very easily we can occupy this IP address within short time, right? So it will not take much time. So this is the major problem here. So what they have done is under every class, they asked a separate subnet, like a private. They have reserved for private. So okay, let me put on the top. Private IP range. So to make it better, let me put a diagram here. So let's say this is my laptop and this is my second one, this is my third one, this is my fourth one, and similarly I have a mobile device, mobile device, mobile device, mobile device. Here mobile device, mobile device, mobile device. So these are my home devices. Okay, and this is internet. So if I want one public IP for all these devices, there are 4, 8, 12. 12 devices are there. So for my home itself, if I want 12 devices, 12 IP addresses, if I occupy, now you saw the range, right? So only 16 million IP addresses will come across the globe from class A, class B, class C. Very soon the IP addresses will get occupied because there is shortage of IP addresses, right? So what people are doing is IIMA will be managing the IP addresses. So the IIMA organization told these network service providers like Cisco, Juniper and all. So what they have done is, guys, you create a routers. In your home, if you have internet connection, you will have a router. So what this router will do is, this router will have only one public IP. Let's say, for example, you have a Airtel internet connection or a Telstra internet connection connected to you. Let's say they are called as ISP, Internet Service Providers. So this Telstra will have one public IP to the router. Okay, one public IP to the router, and this public IP will be internally giving you private IPs. So now so we are not occupying 12 IP addresses here. We are occupying only one IP address here, and we are connecting 12 devices. Even if you connect 12 more devices, only one public IP is required. So let us see how that is happening. Let's say in command prompt, if I do IP config, right, I'm getting an IP for address like 192.168.56.1. If I do the same IP config in my another laptop, even you can check if you are connected, if you have multiple devices connected to same Wi-Fi, the IP address will be like 2 or 3 or 4, like the IP address would be changed in your home network as well. So now, what is your public IP address here? So in order to check that public IP address, just go to Google and check what is my IP. So this is your public IP address, 120.159.188.121. Okay, so this will be your public IP address. And what is your private IP address? Your private IP address for my computer, let's say this is my private IP address, and this is my laptop, which I'm giving the demo for you people. So this is my private IP. Like this, suppose if I connect, my MacBook has this address, and my mobile will be having this address, and my friend mobile will be having this address. So there are different private IP addresses. The router, what the router will do is, the router will from the Telstra or the Airtel or Jio, whoever the internet service provider for you, they will be connected to internet with only one public IP address. That pipe, the router will take the responsibility to connect all these other devices for the internet through with this public IP address. So this is how this private network has came into picture in order to resolve the issue for this IP address overlapping or IP addresses limitation. Any questions, guys, here?
Harish, if you provide any kind of hands-on session here in this case at the time of demo, it will give the clear picture rather than the
Yeah. See,
right?
we will be working. See, in VPC as I showed, right?
Yeah.
When you're creating VPC, we have IPv4 CIDR block. So we will be discussing what is CIDR block in next 5 to 10 minutes. So you must understand when you are creating organization. Now you're creating HDFC Bank organization, right? So when you are creating HDFC Bank organization, you must understand what is your VPC range. As if you go to this range, you're creating here a VPC, well and good. Yes. So you cannot blindly give you some IP address here. Here, and you can create. When you create, so let's say if I create VPC, the VPC is created. You must understand what is this 16 and what is this range, right? So that's the reason I'm digging in detail and explaining what is IP addresses and what is subnetting. It is not mandatory for all the guys to learn in such deep, guys, but the only thing why I'm providing this much insights is you will have a more technical knowledge when you're working with networking devices. So that's the only reason I'm providing all this IP address and subnetting in detail.
Sure, Harish. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. So now you have resolved one issue, like instead of quickly filling up all these classes, so you have private IP address ranges classes as well. So let us type as private IP address classes. So you will have three classes here again. So class A, class B, and class C. So your class A range will start from 10.0.0.0 to 10.255.255.255. And class B will start to 172.16.2. So this is the range. And class C will start to here. But overall, if you take any IP address or any application which is in internet, right, it will start from 0.0.0 to 255.255.255.255. So let's say let us check Google. What is the IP address for Google? Ping. So if you see here, this is the IP address for the Google ones. So like that, this IP address is within the range of this one only, right? 0 to 255. Correct? This IP address will come somewhere in this particular range only, right? Yeah. So that's how now we have private IP address. Now 10.0.0.0 and these are the classes, right? Now let's say you want to create a VPC and you are giving IP address like this 10.1.0.0/16. Forget about this /16. I will tell what is this mask, subnet mask and all. And here how it will be is like 255.255.255.0. When you say 0, now this is constant, this you cannot change, here you cannot change, here you cannot change, because this is already 255 and here it is 0. That's why here from 1 to 255 IP addresses you can generate here. Got it? From 1 to 255 IP addresses you can generate here. In the but not exactly 255 get, because 10.1.0.0 this is reserved for network, this network ID, and last address 255 is reserved as broadcast ID. Okay, now how many IP addresses you will get? You remove 2 IP addresses, it's 253 IP addresses you can generate. 253 IP addresses you can generate here. Got it? Let's say you have like this 255 your subnet is next is 0 here. So when you keep 0 here, again you can get the range from 1.255. So now how many total IP addresses will come here? Here 253 you got, but here you will get around 65,000 IP addresses. I will tell you how it will come. As I told, right, here this is 8-bit, this 8-bit, this 8-bit, and this 8-bit. So if you see here, you would have read in your engineering like 000 means it's 1, and 010, 011, 100, 101, 110, and 111. So here it is 2, and it is 4-bit, and it is 8-bit, and it is 16, and 32, and 64, 120, 000, 010, 100, 10. Yeah, and 128 you should get here for this. Okay, 0. So here 0, 1. So you just make it one up, guys. 128 will be for this one, and this will be for this. This will be for this. So this is how the range. Now say for example, if 255 to 255.0.0 means, so here it's 8-bit, right? So 1, 2 dot 1, 1, 1, 1, 1 dot 0 means 4 zeros. So this is how the binary address of your IPv4 address will look like. In your decimal, this would be your decimal address. Now let's say what is subnetting here. Let's say for example, if you give like 10.1.0.0 slash 8. So if you give like this here, let's say if you give 32, yeah. So if you give 10.1.0.0./8, this 8 is not nothing but a subnet mask, right? So when you are giving this 8 number, so this many IP addresses will be generated. So how can you calculate that one is? So for example, if you give like 10.1.0.0-16 means you will have around 65,535 address. Or if you make it as, let's say, if we make it this as 17, the IP addresses will be reduced half of this one, which is around some 32,000 change. If you want to calculate this exact one, guys, you can just go and use subnet calculator. Subnet calculator IPv4. Open this link, first one. Yeah. Here you select which class are you doing. So class A will start with 10, right? So 10.10.1, and if you are giving 0, and here if you select 8 bit from 8 bit, you can see here 1677721. As I told here, if you are giving like this, you can generate this many IP addresses. Now, while creating our VPC, what we gave? We gave our IPv4 CIDR as 10.1.0.16. So total for our VPC, I mean for our diagram for this HDFC VPC, this many IP addresses devices can be created, 65,535 devices. Correct. So if you want to calculate that, because we have given this as host mask bits as 16. 16 means 65,534. So clear, guys. So if you take 17, 32,000. If you take 18, 16,000. So the number here, whatever the number here, the number is decreasing, the number of IP addresses will increase. If the number is increasing, the number of IP addresses will decreasing. If you want to calculate, a formula is there, guys. So for example, 2 power IP. What is the size of IPv4 address? 32 bit, right? Minus whatever the network mask you are in. So for example, in our thing we have given a 16. So that is the network mask here, 16. So 32 minus 16 is 2 power 16. Agree? So 2 power 16 is, you can just Google it here, 2 power 16, 65,536. Correct? Let's say if you want to calculate for 2 power 32. So you want to give here for 17, right? 17 means here you will have 2 power 32 minus 17, it is 15. So you must get the exact digit of this one. 15, 32,768. If you are getting confused here, just watch this video one more time, guys. It's not required to be perfect in all these calculations. So because all this will be taken care by network team, and they'll just give you what is the range, CIDR range that you need to create your VPC. So let's say if you want to create for 18, so here 2 power 32 minus 18 is will be the 14, right? So just Google it here. 16,384. So now if you are decreasing the number, the IP address range will increase. Let's say if you are giving here 2 power 32 minus, if you are giving 15, if you decrease the number, the IP addresses should be more than 65,000, right? Let's say how much is 32 minus 15? It is around 17. So just check what is 2 power 17. See, 1,31,72. So if we decrease the subnet number, the IP address range will get increased. Or if we increase the mask subnet mask number, the IP address range will be decreased. So that's how you can calculate, guys. That's the main reason I have explained why what is IPv4 address classes. There will be 3 private classes: class A, class B, class C. Class A will start with 10 dot, and class B will start with 172. Class C will start with 193. So all your private, whatever the VPC or private network, it will be in this range only. In this range, all your private addresses will be in this range, and all the public addresses will be from 0 to 255.255.255.255. I hope you are clear with subnetting and IP address, guys. Any queries here? How to calculate the subnet range and the CIDR block range here? Okay, let me take it as no. So now what we will do is, let me check. So now let us see how to create VPC, right? So we understood what is the reason that we are need to create a VPC inside a region and inside availability zone across the availability zones. Now, while creating VPC, you understood what is the IP address ranges and what are the subnets mask, how to calculate IP addresses for different subnets. Now, let us create a VPC. Let me write it here. Lab. First thing is create a VPC. Name it as HDFC Bank -VPC. Let the range be 10.1.0.0/16. How many IP address will be created here? Around 65,535 or 534. Okay. So after creating VPC, here you need to enable DNS, guys. Enable DNS host names. I'll tell why it is required, because once you create EC2 missions, you must be able to see your host names here. Now, second one is create a subnet as below. Now we are selecting a region, right? So the VPC region should be Ohio, guys. Now let's create web servers subnet as 10.1.0.0 slash 10.1.0. Slash let's say I'll give 24. 24 means around 250 IP addresses will be created, because as I told, network and broadcast ID will be created. Amazon will reserve 4 IP addresses, initial ones. So they will not give you the first 4 IP addresses, remaining ones. Similarly, this subnet you should create in US hyphen, east hyphen 2A. Means in this one we'll create. In this one, we are creating a subnet of this. Yeah. So create subnet range with this one, and here you create with 2, and in zone 3 make it as 3. These for, let's say, web servers, these for DB servers, or these for app servers. Normally 3-tier architecture will be created like this, guys. So that's why, to understand better, so let us create these 3 subnets. Yeah, app servers, DB servers. So here 3, and this should be in availability zone B. This should be in availability zone C. So once you create the subnet, then you need to have what you need to have here. As I told earlier, you need to have internet gateway, right? So in order to connect to internet, so you need to have some internet gateway, because you need to connect with external internet, right? So create, I will tell us internet gateway and name it as HDFC internet gateway, HDFC bank. Let's keep it as, okay. So after this, you need routing tables, or route tables. Or you will have a default routing table. Let us map default routing table, default route table to subnets. Okay. So why routing table is required, I'll tell you guys. So now your internet traffic is here. It will come to internet gateway. Now from internet gateway, you must tell from where you should go, right? So which server you should go, or which subnet you should go. So for example, you are going to a shopping mall, guys. Let's say Chartstone Center, which is the biggest shopping mall. So when you go to when you're going for the first time, you don't know where the shopping malls are there. Where is the food court? Where is the showrooms? And where are the washrooms, toilets? And where is the car parking? Where is the public transport? So if there are no signboards or no one is there to help you, you cannot go to that particular target, right? Now the external internet traffic is something like which you are coming, and the route tables are something like the guidance. So it will tell to which location you should go and which way it should go. There will be routes, so which will guide you to go to the particular target locations. So that's why route table will be created here. Any queries, guys? Understood? Then routing table creation.
Harish, one small query, like, these things you are going to showcase in the, very detailed manner upcoming sessions, right? Routing tables and the all other concepts, by the way.
Yeah. So see, this is the lab. This is the hands-on lab which we will be going to create now. So before creating the lab, I am telling you these are the things which we will be creating, because now you understood, right? For any organization, you must have a VPC here. Inside VPC, you must have a subnets, and how you can create a servers or something. Availability zones. The regions.
Harish, what I'm trying to say that like these very detailed, you detailed out in this session itself, right? Like
Yeah.
how exactly this subnets and what exactly the number, like you are giving IP slash 38 or 16 or whatever it is, and you have suggested to go with a subnet calculator as well. So in case of any other confusion or any kind of clarification is required in the sense, definitely I'll get back to you in that case.
Yeah, definitely. See, guys, I am going to give this session for every day for 1 hour. After this one, I will be uploading this video to Drive and will be sharing the link to you. So before creating a
really helpful. Yeah.
So before creating a lab, you can watch this video once more, because see, this IP addressing, subnet masking and all, for you it's not required to learn in this detailed level. But the only reason I gave you is you will understand better, because going forward we will be using this subnet mask ranges and this IP addresses, all the regions, availability zones. Regions and availability zones are common, guys. From now till the AWS end of the topic, you will be hearing region, availability zone, like that. So that's why I have explained in detail what are the regions, how the AWS regions will be there, how AWS availability zones will be configured. Now, any clear? Any questions?
Not really. Like you addressed most of the concerns. So thank you. Thanks a lot, Harish.
No worries. And what we'll do is we will create a EC2 instance. EC2 instance. EC2 instance is nothing but your Windows machine or Linux machine, guys. So this which is provided in cloud, we will be seeing in our next classes. So create EC2 instance, two instances, one in subnet or availability zone A, other in subnet or availability zone B. Okay, and we must check whether both the EC2 machines are working or connected. So now what we're doing is we are launching a mission here. Okay, let's name this as mission as EC2, EC1, EC21. Okay, and let's name this as EC22. So okay, well and good, we have launched, but we should check whether this AWS are telling these are interlinked, right? So we must check how these are interlinked and whether they are really interlinked or not. So that thing we are going to do now. So let us do this lab step by step now, guys. So first one is creating a VPC HDFC Bank that we have done now, and enable DNS host names. So if you see here, these are HDFC VPC, guys. So right click here, make actions. Edit DNS host names. Click on enable DNS host names, because when you launch EC2 instance, it should show what is the instance name there. Yeah, there's success. So now VPC is created, guys. So if you create VPC and leave it, nothing will happen. So you just created a area here, but there is no use with this VPC. So as I told, if you create all the subnets, internet gateways, route tables, configure these route tables, then only this VPC will work as per this diagram. Clear? So now second thing is create a subnet. So give a name here like SG-HDFC Bank. Let's say subnet 1. Then select the VPC. I had two other VPC, guys. I get one more one and HDFC. Let me select HDFC. And preferences. So you can see here, right? As I told, Ohio region has 3 availability zones. Zone US 2A, 2B, and 2C. Now let us create the subnet in 2A. Okay. And here also you need to provide your IPv4 CIDR block, guys. So here let me give as 10.1.0.0/24. Okay. Subnet is created. You can see the subnet ID. And after creating subnet, just enable modify auto assign IP, guys. So if you click here, enable this auto assign IP address, because we need IP address to be allocated, right? So just enable this one. So any mission which is created in the subnet, you will have an IP address now. Like this, let us create two more subnets for in zone B and zone C. SG hyphen HDFC Bank 2 VPC availability zone B and here I will give the range as 10.1 1.2.0/24. So you will get a subnet ID, and just for this subnet also enable auto assign IP address. Yeah, sorry. Similarly, create subnet 3. Okay, this subnet. HDFC Bank, make it as availability zone C, and I will give a range as 3.0/24. Create, close. So now you have 3 subnets here. SG, well, let me rename it as subnet SN, guys, because we are going to create security groups, so then it will overlap the naming conventions. So for subnet 3 also enable this auto assign IP address. Okay. So what is the next step? So we have created all the subnets here. Now we need to create internet gateway. So go to internet gateways. Create internet gateway. By default, there will be an internet gateway, guys. Just ignore that. IGW, HDFC Bank. Just create internet gateway. Actions. You need to attach this gateway to HDFC Bank VPC. Correct? So you are creating a gateway, but you should tell, right, for which VPC are you going to attach. So we are creating this to this particular VPC. So what is the next step? After creating internet gateways, you need to configure root tables, create a root table and configure root tables. So you can see here, root tables are here. So you can create a root table by clicking here. Default root table will be there. Just you can ignore that, guys. So click on create root table. Give the name like RT HDFC Bank. Then select the VPC. Then you can give this tag name. Tag name is nothing but, say, for example, name HDFC Bank. HDFC Bank root table. Tag, okay. HD, okay, already the tag name is available, so you can just directly create. Root table is created here. So this is your root table, guys. So after coming, once you just created roots. If you create roots, so when you're going to shopping mall, so if you go and ask them if empty board is there, let's say there is a sign board, the board is empty, no direction is there, no name is there, you will not know how to go, right? You can see there is a board but no directions here. So now what you need to do is you need to go to the roots and you can click on edit roots. And so before doing this one, you need to do subnet association, guys. So for which subnets this root table will be used. So click on subnet associations, click on edit subnet associations. You're telling all these 3 subnets, this one, and this one, to be mapped under this root table. Sorry again. So associate, these subnets are now associated. Just save this one. Yeah. So now come to the roots. So if you click on edit roots, you can see here 10.1.0.16 local. When you say local, this is private traffic, guys. So this is used for internal private when you're communicating with your app servers to DB servers, or DB servers to Windows servers, or Windows servers to app servers. This local destination traffic will be used. Suppose if you want to communicate with internet, right, you need to communicate with external internet. So for this, what you need to do is you need to add a route, and you add this external IP address. Sorry, 0.0.0/0, which is external, used for external. And here, from where you are going to communicate this external, guys, IGW, internet gateway. We already created internet gateway for HDFC, right? That you need to map it here. Select as internet gateway. So here you can see HDFC internet gateway is there. Select that one and save routes. So now the routes is saved successfully. Yeah. So now what we will do is we will launch 2 EC2 instances, and we will be in this VPC. I already have one more organization VPC, but I will be launching the VPC in HDFC organization. Then we will be communicating this EC2 instance with other EC2 instance. Clear? Guys, it's almost more than an hour. Let us continue this EC2 creation in our next session. Okay. So now I will be, see, there are no charges for this VPC or subnets or route tables or internet gateways, guys. You no need to delete these ones. So you can leave as it is. So your AWS free account creation, I have done already in another video. I'll give in the description. If you don't know how to create free account, go to the first video. Then you can understand this networking and IPv4 address, subnetting, and creating the VPC. Okay. So any queries, guys? To summarize today, we have discussed what is the need for VPC, how Amazon regions are distributed, how availability zones are attached to regions, and what is the need for VPC, what are the challenges that that were there before VPC, and how the challenges are covered with VPC. And while creating VPC, we have given IP address range with a subnet mask. So we understood what is IP address history and subnetting. So if you are not completely aware about this IP address and subnetting, guys, because that is more into networking technical knowledge, so it's not mandatory for everyone to learn in that detail, but I have just given for your technical knowledge purpose. You can see this video again to understand the IP address and subnetting. And we have seen a lab, right, how to create a VPC, how to create a subnet, and associate the route tables with the subnet, sorry, the subnets with the route table. And we have created the internet gateway and attached the routes, right? So till here, any queries, guys? In tomorrow's session, what we are going to do is we are going to launch a couple of EC2 instances in subnet 1 and subnet 2, and we will see the communication between both the instances. For that, you need to have PuTTY tool and other things. I will show how to configure them in tomorrow's session. Any queries till now in today's session?
Thank you so much, Harish, for the wonderful session. And in case of any questions after we are doing the lab, right, like we'll get back to you as I mentioned, right?
Yeah, definitely. See, as I told, right, on the I will be uploading this one in Drive. So when you are creating a lab, if you are facing or if you have any doubt, refer to the video. If you're still having a problem, tomorrow I'll connect before 15 minutes of the session. Every day I will be connecting. Let's say to 5:30 is our session starts. I'll connect at 5:15 or 5:20. So before 10 minutes you can join this call, and we will be able to resolve that one. Or after the call, I'll wait for 10-15 minutes. You can resolve those issues after the call.
That will be really helpful, Harish. Thank you.
Yeah. So if no questions, I'll wind up today's session, and I'll uploading this video in Drive, guys. Have a great day. Thanks for joining the session.